Hey Peppermint Pals! So first of all, I want to apologize that it took so long for me to get this video out to you. The first week and a half of November has just been packed full of stuff. It's actually only Tuesday right now, but I don't know when this video is going to come out on YouTube and on Instagram, so it's probably going to come out later. So I just want you to know I've been busy with all kinds of other stuff, so that's why. But, you know, I still wanted to talk about my Inktober experience. So right now, if you are watching this on YouTube, it's just going to be this part, me talking about the experience. I'm not going to have a showcase of the art, just because, as I said before, it's pastel gore, and YouTube is pretty strict about things, even if I put warnings. I don't really want to mess with that. But you want to see a showcase, you can go over to my Instagram and it'll be on there, and this part will be there, me talking about Inktober, and then at the end there will be the showcase, and it'll be a little bit more than just going through the Instagram and looking at the pieces. And of course there'll be a little bit of warning about what's in there. You can just look at the pieces on my Instagram where there's that if there's like a black box that says pastel gore, it'll have a couple warnings underneath, and if anything on those things with the black boxes bothers you, then you can just note that, and you don't have to watch the showcase. You don't have to watch it anyway. I'm, just throwing that out there. So this part of the video is going to be kind of me explaining some things I learned, how I grew on this Inktober. So first of all, the whole theme of everything with the pastel gore, just gore in general, that really had me step outside my comfort zone. I enjoyed looking at pastel gore, but I never saw myself as being someone who would make very gory pictures. But I thought, hey, why not try it? I like pastel gore, I might as well try making my own. I'll admit the pictures weren't quite as pastel as I would have liked. And my defense is I'm new at this, and I'm still working out a color palette. As you may have seen... No, actually, I don't think I put that on my Instagram, but it will be in the showcase. There was a color palette. I kind of worked out a color palette beforehand and only used markers from that, which was okay. But I specifically went for like a red for the blood. I tried not to make it too red. I tried to make it more of a dark pink, and even that was a little bit too red. But back to stepping outside of my comfort zone, I'm kind of a person who does not really like guts and gore and, we called it, as I was a kid, inside the body stuff. And that stuff really makes me, I don't know why. My parents think it might have to do with the fact that I'm, a heart patient and had a lot of surgeries, but it's not like I was awake for those surgeries, and so I don't know exactly where it comes from, but it's something that I've always had, and to do this, I think, is a big step for me. In the vlog I did right before October started, I got a book. It was like a big medical textbook, and I couldn't bring myself, I just want to note, I couldn't bring myself to get something with actual photographs, but this one, I tried to find something with drawings, and a lot of things with drawings weren't very helpful, they didn't have enough. This one had kind of, you could tell they were illustrations, but they were more digitally rendered. I worked on that, and I got kind of, I don't know, I didn't really like having it in my room for a month. But yeah, I think it was really good for me to try something that I normally wouldn't be comfortable with. And will I do it again? Probably not as much as I did. Obviously I did a whole month of it, but I might every now and then feel like, I feel like doing a pastel gore piece, and I might try something out. But I don't think I'm going to really, it's not going to be a staple of my art. But it was something fun to try, so there's a recommendation, you know, try something outside your comfort zone. And even if you don't decide to do it afterwards, it's, you know, it's just, it helps you improve in your art. And I think it did kind of help in a way. The next thing I want to talk about is the markers. I got so frustrated. My markers kept drying out. And actually about, it was like 10 days in, maybe a little bit longer, I finally decided to not color the background completely with a marker, because that was what was really killing them, but instead just to leave the background white and then add a background on the computer. It kind of looked weird. There was the contrast of like the paper traditional illustration and the digital, very, sometimes they were solid, sometimes they were gradient, but you know, it was a very clearly digital background, and it was kind of weird. And I even got like the refills for the Copic markers, and they just did not seem to work, or they, you know, I'd refill them and they didn't seem to last. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong there, but I think that's something that if I talk about, I want to do a whole other video about. So just in terms of the Copic markers and the refills and them drying out. But I kind of learned to be more conservative, like I said, keeping the backgrounds white and putting, using the digital. So I did learn I actually like having a consistent theme. Last year, and then the first year I completed, well, the only year I completed Inktober, and then of course last year's Inktober, I didn't really have a theme. And it was fun to kind of just do whatever every day. But I think having that theme gives it a bit more consistency and a bit more challenge. I also think I learned that keeping the same medium, which is actually something I learned from the first year of Inktober. And with that, I kind of learned to keep the same medium because I wanted to keep the color palette consistent, which is not necessarily something you need for Inktober, but I think it looks more uniform when everything is the same medium, because last year's Inktober, I used a bunch of different kinds of mediums, you know, all ink mediums, but, you know, different ink mediums, and I think it kind of, it just didn't make it look uniform, like it was all part of one big project, and I like getting that feeling that it was part of one big project. With the theme, though, and this is kind of going into last year's Inktober, but I think I need to bring it up, you should not set too many limitations on yourself, because with Inktober last year, I of course had the color palette, I was trying to give myself a theme of fashion, and then I had a prompt list, and all those combined, it just, I was not getting, I had to really stretch for some of the ideas, and it was hard, and I don't know if some themes are easier than others. For example, Mermaid, I mean, there was a strict theme there, and there was a prompt list, but I guess there wasn't a third thing, which would have been the color, although I did keep it in gouache, but that's not really a big deal, because, you know, you could, it's like with Inktober, you can really do anything with that. There's so many ways to use it. But yeah, that's just kind of a little bit of advice there, based on my folly of Inktober last year, is don't set too many limits or you're gonna get stuck. And yeah, if you do look at the Inktober's, I had to stretch for a lot of them. And final thing I want to say about this Inktober is I think it actually was very helpful to me in practicing expressions and poses. To be honest, the poses weren't that complicated, but a few of them had a little bit more complicated poses. There's one of like my D&D character kind of battle ready. There was kind of one near the end of this woman like kind of in a weird position, and yeah, just that kind of stuff. And it also really helped with expressions. I got to experiment with all different kinds of expressions. It was really good for me, and it really helped my confidence, because I've been finding with my art style, it's kind of hard, well, I feel like it's hard to get the expression I want, but in doing this, I think I kind of learned how to make the expressions And I think they came out like really how I wanted them to look. And that's good because this is the kind of the style I want to use going forward with projects like a comic. And so it's really important to me to get down, well, poses, like I said, and expressions. That was really helpful. So, final thoughts. I had fun, and then I didn't have fun, and then I had fun again, and then I didn't have fun, and then I kind of had fun at the end there. That's basically what you're gonna do when you do a monthly thing, or a month-long prompt list thing. I almost quit, and I didn't. And that's one thing I think on my vlog about Inktober on YouTube. I say, like, if you feel like you're gonna quit, just push through the next part and then see how you feel. And that's what I did. You know, I was like about to quit because I really hated the drawing I did for the day before. And then I pushed through and I did another one and was not necessarily my favorite, but it was better. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I kept pushing through and I made it. Yeah, I guess that's a good final thought. I'm really glad I did this, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do next year, if I'm going to do Inktober again, or if I'm going to do Whovember, or if I'm going to kind of mix them, but we shall see. In the meantime, everybody have a great November and end of the year. I mean, I'll keep posting. Well, if we're on YouTube, I'll keep posting videos, and if we're on Instagram, I'll keep posting pictures at least. So thanks for watching. Bye!